Alright, tis a new beginning. It is the first COVID log of the year, and so I decided to bring it back to number 1, and hopefully we'll have 52 by the end of the year. Yeah. And I also called it a new beginning because I completely changed my coding strategy and how I'm going to prepare for a contest. And that's all because of this. Yeah, I epically failed the last USICO Gold December contest by getting a total of 2 test cases right, which gave me 33 points out of 1,000. So yeah, it was pretty bad. Alright, so this pretty much made me question my entire life. Well, at least my life in competitive programming. Because I had spent the past 4 to 5 months preparing for this contest, and to do so poorly probably meant that I was doing something wrong. Was it my lack of knowledge that caused this? Well, no. I learned a bunch of stuff, and I don't think I ever even got to use it in the problems. And was it a lack of intuition that caused me to fail? Well, given that that's the only other way I could possibly fail, then yeah, that's probably it. But now, why couldn't I develop this intuition over the past few months? Well, if you took a look at how I trained, I basically just did USICO problems, and I could go days without looking at the editorial, just trying to think of some kind of solution that would work. And even after I came up with the solution, I could spend days upon days trying to implement it. And so yeah, something was clearly wrong if these problems were taking so long. I think it was basically my stubbornness to not look at the editorial for hints or for help. Or maybe just I was doing problems way above my level. So with those 2 things identified, I came up with a new strategy, which was to basically solve a lot more problems and to not spend a lot of time on any single one. That way I could more quickly find out what weaknesses I had, and I would also be able to adjust the type of problems I was doing so that it would be at a level that I was not too comfortable with, but that I didn't find way too difficult as well. So now, how did I actually go about implementing this? Because like USICO problems, you don't know how hard they are, and you also don't know what topics they are until you actually do them. So even though I had a strategy, I didn't have any sort of set structure on where to go about applying the strategy. And that's when Google came to the rescue. I found a bunch of online competitive programming courses and decided to settle on this one by Stanford. As you can see, it's pretty comprehensive. It goes through all of the basic competitive programming topics, and it also provides a bunch of problems for each, sorted by difficulty. So like my plan was to just not do the first few and just do like the last few here, and then see how far I would progress. Unfortunately though, all of these problems were hosted on Peking Online Judge, which by total coincidence was down like a week before I started this, and it's been down ever since. So when you submit things, it would just end up in this really long queue and it wouldn't get judged, so you wouldn't know if your solution was right or not. But I did not give up there. Instead, I kept this site, but then I tried to find some other problem base with a bunch of problems on a bunch of topics. And what better choice than CodeForces? You know, CodeForces is like the top competitive programming site in like the entire world. Well, at least for America and Russia, I suppose. They got a bunch of problems, every problem categorized by different tags, as you can see here. And the best part is that each problem also has an objectively determined difficulty level. I won't get into the specifics of how that difficulty level is determined, but it's basically in a range from 800 to 3,500, and they go by like 100 increments. They go by increments of 100. So it's very specific, and you can basically tell how hard a problem is based on its difficulty number. Now, I was going to follow the Stanford thing, but doing problems of a certain tag, you need a strategy for that as well. And I decided to come up with this new thing called CodeForces ladders. The overall premise isn't that complicated. You basically start with a rating and you do problems based on that rating. And if you get it right without looking at the editorial, you increase your difficulty by 100 and repeat the process. However, if you fail to solve it on your own, you would just decrease the rating. Keep in mind, for each problem, I would allot myself 15 to 20 minutes of thinking time, and if I couldn't solve it, I would go ahead and look at the editorial. As you can see, this is one example of progress in a day. As you can see, if I looked at the editorial, I would go down 100 in difficulty, and if I completely solved it, I would just go back up again. So the overall premise of this was to make sure that I was doing problems not too easy and also not too hard either. And that way I can sufficiently challenge myself and practice in the most effective way possible. Given that winter break had 10 days and I had like 9 to 10 topics in the Stanford course, I basically went through all of them, and these were the rating values that I ended up with. I sorted them here, and as you can see, you can pretty much see which topics I'm really strong at and which one I'm pretty much really weak at. And this thing is like very valuable because now I can know areas which to target to improve on, and also which areas that I'm already pretty comfortable in. Now, what do these ratings even mean in terms of USICO? Because I've been talking about CodeForces a lot, but all of this preparation is for USICO, right? Well, here, I'll show you this. Wait, but first, this was basically my training regimen. As you can see, this day was Friday, the first day of winter break. And from that day on, I would just basically go through every topic and then do problems based on that topic. So, yeah, I didn't do any problems today yet, but I'll get to that. Alright, back to our topic. How does this relate to USICO? Well, here are the USICO problems and their respective CodeForces difficulties on the right. Note that these rating values are crowdsourced, but I think they're pretty reliable because it gives you a good range. As you can see from the December contest, all three were in the 2000s. And in my rating table here, only 2 of my topics are over 2000 rating. So that probably explains why I failed. It also explains why in the last contest, which was the US Open one, I almost managed to pass by solving the first 2 and also part of the third one, because these are pretty low rated as compared to the December one. Right, so it's just good taking all of this thing about how you think you're bad at something and converting it to like actual numbers that you can see. If you're wondering what the platinum problem difficulty was for the December contest, here they are. They're pretty higher. They're like 200, 300 points higher than the gold ones. So I'm gonna need to work a bit more on this. Now, what am I supposed to do after I have all of this table stuff? Well, obviously, I'll just keep working on these CodeForces ladders. There's several different strategies that could possibly work. I might just try all of them. The first one that I came up with is to just choose the lowest rated ladder every day and do that. And that way, that'll guarantee that my weakest topic of the day won't stay my weakest topic for very long. Or if I want to diversify more and make sure that I consistently improve in every area, I could just do one problem from each ladder every day. However, this is like way more time consuming, and I don't think I have that much time But speaking of time, how much time do I even have until the next Yusuko contest? Well, since it's like the 28th or something, I got like 4 weeks. Oof. Yeah, today's like January 2nd, so less than 4 weeks. But we got this. Yeah. Also with COVID and stuff, school is probably gonna turn to remote, so that'll give me more time. Anyways, I'll try to use this method. This is like an actual strategy to practice. Like back then I was just doing problems and hoping for the best. But now with this New Year's, I got a plan. And that's great. Here are just some extra thoughts that I thought of over the past few days. And I might also implement this into my coding strategy as well. So the first one being that I could possibly, if I can't solve a problem and I read the editorial, I think waiting a bit before actually implementing it could give me more benefits because it'll allow me to rethink the problem instead of relying on my short-term memory to solve it. And I haven't tested this, but I think it would possibly be a good idea to basically emulate the coding styles of the top coders on CodeForces because all of their submissions are public anyways. So I can basically compare my code to theirs, see what I can do to make mine more efficient, and basically get better at coding that way. Who knows? Anyways, that's the end of this plan thing. Oh, stay in touch for over the next few weeks with updates on this thing, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching. Oh, by the way, Happy New Year. Yeah, I made this, but I forgot to record how I actually did it, so, just enjoy the final product.